Hello, and welcome to this special fireside chat with Matthew Greenwood from Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys. Now, Matthew's been involved with counselling, personal, psychic, spiritual development, and shamanic healing practices since 1990. He's been actively involved in sharing his skills, knowledge, and talents through offline workshops, public speaking, personal mentoring, and counselling. And tonight, Matthew is debuting online in the form of a fireside chat with myself and you, and bringing his skills and knowledge and talents to us via this medium, which is really exciting and I think rather awesome. So join with me as I have a chat with Matthew on his page. And let's do this. And
hello there.
Matthew, hello, and welcome.
Thank you. Here I am.
Yes, you are. We're actually live on Matthew's page, and that's the Spiritual Journeys page. And if you are watching from anywhere else, it could be we've got this live broadcast going out to several different places. So if you're on Be Live in 5 or Women in Business Adelaide or Live Young and Hypnotherapy with Adaire, any of those other pages that you're tuning in from, please do pop over to Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys page. And we've got Cheryl here saying hi.
Hi, Cheryl.
And Kaz.
Hey, Kaz.
Here as well. And saying Heather. Is it Heather or Kaz? It's like Kaz is saying it's Heather. So thank you for joining us. What we'd love for you to do is to let your friends know that Matthew is live. So come over and give him some sort of rah-rah, get him, cranked up. He's cranked already, but so we can make his debut one memorable one in a good way.
Please.
So I'm really excited. So without further ado, I'm actually going to not hog the floor and hand it over to you and just say, so Matthew, I'm just going to actually ask you some questions because I'm a bit curious. I've heard part of your story, but let's just have a bit of a fireside chat and you can just share how it is you got to be doing what it is you're doing today, so from furniture making.
Great question. It all started for me 30 years ago when I was standing in my workshop, carving away at a table leg, I think, and never having had any what I would classify as a spiritual experience, apart from going for a walk in a forest. I actually heard a voice, a male's voice, about 2 feet away from me to my right. And the voice said, Matthew, there's more to you and there's more to life. You need to find it. And if you had known me 30 years ago, I was a completely different person back then, very closed off emotionally. I did a great job of creating my own cave, being my workshop.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to meet too many people. Didn't really understand what it was to be sensitive, but that came pretty quickly. And I realized that's what I'd done. I'd shut myself off. So I wasn't impacted by people's energy. And this was really the ongoing journey from there on, to understand more about why I'd turned out that way so I could help other people as well. Yeah. And so really the thing that was impacting my life back then was my health. And I realized, I looked back at my life when I heard that voice. A whole lot of things happened in a few split seconds, and I looked back at my life, and this was the first time I'd actually noticed. I put all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together of my medical history, and I realized that from the age of 7 through to the age of 9, I was strongly impacted by bronchial asthma. At 16, I ended up with cancer. At 23, I ended up with type 1 diabetes. And the age I was at when I heard that voice was 29. Now, I had never put the pieces together before, but what there was a 7-year cycle that I was running. So in between each major disease, there was 7 years. And I realized why that voice came in, because where I was at physically and emotionally and mentally, it was impacting me heavily to the point where I think if I hadn't actually done something to change my life, I wouldn't be here. So I really made a push, whatever it was going to take, to change the way I was living, the way I was thinking, the way I was dealing with people. But I didn't know anything of what to do. So I ended up going along to a meditation group to start with, which was a great thing. And from that, I started to understand about energy. And then I started to understand about what it was to be grounded, which I realized I was sometimes, but definitely not all the time. And then I started to learn about healing, hands-on healing. I ended up doing some massage courses. And what else did I do? Reiki. And I was still searching. I was still looking for something, and I actually didn't know what I was looking for. And it was about 5 to 6 years into me doing helping people that shamanism really found me in a number of people that were coming along to see me to get help to remove, let's say, hooks that had been put into them by a particular person that was working in the healing field back then. And I got a crash course in shamanism through one of my guides, because one of the constants that I've had pretty much from about 12 months into me opening up spiritually is my connection to guides. It grew fairly quickly. I can't hear you, Adaire, so.
My lips are going.
Oh, there you go. I can hear you now.
There we go. There's the hostess with the mostess, mutes herself. I just, a couple of times I'm going, oh, no, I'll let him talk. And then I'm like, he can't, yeah. Anyway, there you go. It's a common thing that I tend to do. But I just wanted to ask you, for the uninitiated, you mentioned modalities like Reiki and is shamanism or shamanic practices, is that a modality? And so if you can explain a little bit about sort of maybe even what Reiki is, and just in a nutshell, and then what shamanic practices are, if that's
definitely. My understanding of Reiki is it's a type of transfer of energy from the universe. I think also your guides play a part in relaying energy through you as a healer. But shamanic or shamanism is actually more of a way of life, and I've learnt that through living with the Native American people on Rosebud Indian Reservation in South Dakota on a few occasions, and what I've realized is, it being a way of life, you have to own all of your personal baggage. You have to understand it, and you have to do whatever it takes to let go of it. That is the stuff that controls us.
Yes.
It holds the fear and anxiety within us. It limits our potential. And there are so many people out there that are holding on to emotions, holding on to people's energy, holding on to all kinds of things, and it minimizes them so much.
I think
really, sorry,
no, that's all right. I think that's something that we all we definitely do we limit ourselves because we are we're so busy not taking responsibility for taking,
and look, people don't have the training. They're not educated about this stuff. And this is really what I'm using my life for, is to help people to do this. And look, the other thing that I've learned to do, which just seems to be a part of what I do, is each step that you let go of emotions, a bubble of emotions that relates back to something in your past, whether it could be past life issues or generally it's mostly this life these days. And so what happens is, energetically or aurically, as soon as you let go of something, your aura expands, the colors get brighter, there becomes less of those grey colors which relate to personal baggage, and it's kind of a no-brainer, really, to have your awareness open up more. The antenna seems to go up a little higher. You're able to sense things more. And so I've found, just through total devotion to clearing out the baggage, that it can take you places. It really can. And the surprises that come along the way are immense.
I've heard, before we move on, I'd just like to acknowledge Jen. She says hi. And then she says she's met you for a healing. She just realised who you was, the wonderful person. Vouch for that. He is an amazing person.
Thank you, Jen.
If you would like to win a reading, a spirit guide reading with Matthew, he is running a competition for a reading. You just have to share in 25 words or more. But we do things back to front because, mostly it's 25 words or less, but we want 25 words or more, why you'd like to win. And I've got, here's one I prepared earlier, but if you do this, you will actually, you will be confirmed in Messenger that you have registered to go into the draw for a chance to win. And I've put here, I'd like to win the spirit guide. I haven't counted them. I may not have actually adhered to the to your competition conditions, but there you go. So as long as it's more than just pick me. So if you put I'd like to win, Tony has also, she's popped hers in earlier this week as well. She'd like to win the spirit guide reading with Matthew because she feels there's a message that's calling her. So Tony, you're entered as well to win. And so just a reminder that if you would like to win a reading with Matthew, please do pop in. I'll just put the instructions up again, and there we go. And Daniel's here as well. He's saying that you're an amazing, Daniel Marsh, an amazing and inspirational teacher. Thanks, Daniel. So people, and also please do remember to make sure, as Matthew just said, people are uneducated and they don't know this stuff, and we carry around this baggage when we actually don't have to do it, and there are pathways to help us clear. And Matthew, as it's actually a really amazing way that you do help people clear that negativity that people are carrying with them. And so if you know of anybody, and I think anyone who's breathing really could benefit from this stuff. Oh my God, there we go. So Jen had actually flew from Mackay to Adelaide to see a surgeon, and the girlfriend told her about you. So, and you got in on short notice. So there you go. So all the way from Queensland. Cool. So Jen, are you coming in from Queensland? If you're from anywhere, just let us know where you're from as well, because we're curious to know where you're actually jumping in from. So Matthew, when you're talking about people having needing to be have education and knowledge about this, I think it needs to start earlier, because sort of we get to the ripe old age of middle age and go, well, why the hell isn't my life working for me?
Most definitely. And look, the kids that are coming up nowadays, up through the ranks, and when I say kids, I mean even 6 and 7 year olds, they are so switched on, a lot of them. And with this time we're in now, everything's running quicker. It's happening quicker. We're in a cycle now, at the beginning of a 94-year cycle, that's a consistent raising of frequency. So that's impacting everyone, and that has it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It can have a huge positive impact on us in that it helps to raise our vibration and open up our abilities more. But the other issue lies with, if you're not understanding of how to actually clear that energy that you're sitting on, that can be impacted quite severely by this high vibrational energy, because anything of a low vibrational nature that we hold within us, if we're surrounded or we're doing things to raise our vibration, it's going to rattle your cage, and it's going to rattle that lower vibrational energy, and it will push and come up to the surface. Now, if you're in a habit of repressing, which a lot of us start off in life being, that can actually have quite a negative effect on people, and it can create depression and other illnesses. And what I see is one of the biggest, the saddest things is that a lot of the energy that impacts us, we don't even know it's there, because from our childhood, when things go wrong in the family unit, and it can be very minimal, a child takes that stuff on pretty seriously. And if a child is living with that for too long, what happens is they tend to shut down to a degree because they can't cope. When that shutdown occurs, that's where an inner child is manifested. And so you have the inner child staying at one age, and then you move forward in time. But what happens is sometimes the information that was coming through in the family unit, the whatever it was that you were taking on as a child, that slowly gets suppressed into your energy system. And even full-on abuse can be suppressed. So you can start going through life within 10 years or so after those childhood experiences, and you can completely have no conscious knowledge and remembrance of those experiences. And so sometimes you go through life, and I think we've all been there, where you suddenly you have anger coming up for no good reason, or tears or emotions that you think don't relate. But any of that reaction is coming from something inside you that's been suppressed. So the majority of the people on the planet are running around being reactive all the time without knowing, and it is very frustrating. But it's those suppressed memories that are actually behind that reaction that's going on within your energy system. So how to fix that? Well, that's the stuff I've learned over the years to help the client to see what's going on inside them and exactly what those memories are, so we can actually heal them. And that has the biggest reaction with people, particularly when you help to remove the projected energy that comes from whoever was affecting you in your childhood. Because as a child, we take that stuff on very strongly, and it gets locked into our energy system. And if we're carrying that, you got to remember, a lot of the energy that we carry within us is not ours.
Yeah.
And we're running off that energy through our life. So that to actually find out who you are can be very difficult, depending on how much of other people's energy you've taken on.
There's a little quote that keeps popping into my head, and it's like the treasure you seek is in the cave you fear to enter, or the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. I just want to can we talk about the fear about people have of actually stepping in and letting go of that baggage? But I'd just like to acknowledge Naomi has entered to win, and I'm sending you lots of love for healing.
Hi, Naomi.
Naomi, and also Petra is here. Matthew is an amazing teacher and a wonderful person, all the way from Perth. And Michelle also from Perth. Hello, whoops, I'm on Michelle.
I know these guys.
So is your Perth groupies, Linda? See, Matthew here's amazing. Would love another healing with him to clear out beliefs that no longer serve me. So if you want to win, there's a competition for a reading. You can book in for a session as well. You'll be offered an opportunity to book in for a session for sure. But just pop in the comments in 25 words or more. Actually, it doesn't matter about 25 words, but why you'd like to win a spirit guide reading with Matthew, and you'll be registered and notified by messenger. So there we go. And also, please let your friends know that Matthew is here and sharing his wisdom and talents tonight as his online debut. Exciting stuff.
I think I'm going okay.
Yeah, you're doing well. You're doing well. So if okay with you, if we could just circle back to the cave we fear to enter that holds the treasure, because I know in my own journey it has been terrifying to let go of some of that stuff because it was so deeply embedded. If you had some thoughts around.
Sure. Look, and like I was saying, a lot of these fears, we don't know why we've got these fears, because it's coming from a subconscious state, a place that we just don't have memory of. And so what happens in our life when we start to think about, and sometimes it can take a while, particularly if you've got no connection to where the issues are coming from. So finally you get to a point somewhere in your life and you think, oh, geez, I've just got to do something about this, but what do I do? And you go along to get some help. But before you even go along to get some help, reaction starts to come to the surface. And one of the things that I was actually running a workshop over the weekend, and it reminded me of when I was young, when I was first starting. Because I was a beginner, I was attracting clients to me who were just beginners at getting into their spirituality. And so what was happening was, on quite a few occasions, I'd have people just not show up for sessions. And the first thing you think of as a sensitive person, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? You know, I'm doing something wrong. And kind of in a way I was, but it was a learning curve. So what was happening was, as soon as a person books in for a session, all the action actually starts there, because what the person is doing is they're booking in a commitment to themselves. This is the hugest thing you can do, because what happens, the ball starts to roll then. And so what these people were doing, and some of them were heavy smokers or heavy drinkers, and they would get full-on physical body reactions coming up, because a lot of the toxins of the alcohol or the cigarette, nicotine, all of that stuff, and don't forget the chemicals in the nicotine as well, those toxins get stored in the muscle tissue a lot of the time. And that is all connected to those emotions that are tucked away. So you start to make a commitment to yourself, and what does the physical body want to do? It can feel you're going into a releasing mode. Your session might not be for 2 weeks, but you already start to get body reactions from the toxins wanting to come up to the surface. So these people were just scared.
Yeah.
You know? And I ended up meeting one of the ladies that did book in, and she was so embarrassed. I was in Woolworths, I think, and just shopping. And she said to me, she had all these body reactions coming up, and she just closed off. And didn't even want to talk to anyone, and how deep these emotions go. So the biggest thing you can do, if you don't feel joy in your life, if you don't feel excitement, if it's difficult for you to feel love, then there's a part of you that's shut down. And they're kind of, I guess you could say, repercussions of those subconscious memories and the fear that you're hanging on to. And so that's kind of the sign to go deeper. because nothing on the surface is going to help. It's about having to go much deeper because, well, you've got no conscious memory of it. But once you have conscious memory of whatever happened in your past, this then helps you to understand. It helps to put all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together, and it helps you to understand why you turned out the way you did, why you've maybe attracted the relationships you've attracted, and a whole lot of things like that. And once you can piece those jigsaw pieces together, suddenly you can actually free yourself of those times, and you have an understanding, and it's almost like a point of a fresh slate, a fresh start. And so you clear that energy out that you're hanging on to a lot of the time unknowingly, and then you can actually live your life. And I can tell you so much around the synchronicity that's happened in my life through dealing with emotional issues that I just did not expect. I suppose a good example would be my connection to the Lakota people over on Rosebud in South Dakota.
Yes, I was going to ask, how did that happen?
Yeah, look, that was a spin out because I was in a 6-year on again, off again relationship that was driving both of us nuts. And we both decided to go and see a counsellor who was independent of both of us because we were both doing counselling ourselves. And so we found someone. I'd never heard of her before. It was someone that a mutual friend told us about. So we went, and she helped us to go opposite directions, which is what we needed to do in a good way. And then I thought, well, I'm getting a bit out of this, so I'll go along for a couple more sessions. And on the last session, she looked at me it was getting towards the end of the session, and she looked at me and she said, "So Matthew, you've kind of a fresh slate, and you must have some goals, or have you got any ideas of anything you want to do?" And I looked her straight in the eye and I said, "I want to go to America." And I'd never been to America. And she looked at me and she said, "Oh, where in America?" And I said, "South Dakota," because not a lot of people want to go to South Dakota. They want to go to New York or LA or something. And she looked at me and she said, "So where in South Dakota?" And I said, "Either Pine Ridge or Rosebud Indian Reservation." And she was on an office chair with wheels on it. And she slid a chair back from the desk and laughed her head off. And she said, "My grandfather is full-blood Oglala Sioux and lives on Pine Ridge."
Oh, my God.
And she gave me, I know.
Wow.
You think my jaw didn't drop. And so she gave me all of this information about all the reservations in the mid-north. And I just wrote and rang until I made a connection. And Rosebud, the chief elder on Rosebud, who I ended up talking to, who was a beautiful guy, and he's unfortunately passed since, but that was back in 2001 this happened. And he wanted to know all about me, and I told him all about me. And he said, "Well, you've taught woodwork, furniture making?" And I said, "Yeah, I have. I had my own business doing it for many years." And he said, "Well, would you like to put a course together for our teenagers who they have a college there called Sintigaleska College, and I didn't know that they had a college there." And he said, "We'd love you to put a furniture making course, just a basic thing, to do in the fall in 2001." And so I sent that over very quickly, and they ended up setting me up with a family to live with.
Wow.
And it just so happened that the family I live with, I've been adopted into that family now, and the older members of that family were medicine men, and so when I went over there in 2001, it was magical, and I was mixing it with medicine men and ceremonies and going to powwows, and because I was there for about 5 months, and amazing things happened, just amazing things, even down to I'm full of stories. So just a really quick story. I was having dreams about 3 months before I left and for the reservation. And I kept dreaming about a wolf in the wild. And but I was there standing behind the wolf. First of all, I saw the back of the wolf. He was looking over into a valley. And then the next dream I had, he looked around at me. And then the third dream I had, he actually started to run around me. And he ended up grabbing me by the hand playfully to yank me away from where I was standing. And so I didn't dream about the wolf again. But what happened was when I stayed with, where I stayed with this family, what happened was there was a half wolf there. And I asked Gary, is this your wolf? And he said, no, it showed up a couple of months ago and it's just been hanging around. And then after I left, it was sort of hanging around still a little bit. And after I'd left, I rang up just to check on whether it was still there. And he said, no, it went. Never saw it again.
Wow.
And but in the process, and this was the funny part, it was a little bit standoffish, but then it would start to get playful. And lo and behold, it grabbed me by the hand in a playful way to get me to run after it, So
wow.
It was just, the whole thing.
Oh my God.
The whole thing was magical, how it all happened. And
amazing. So can I just interrupt the flow? I don't want to do that, but I would love to let people know we've got we do have Andrea here saying, so glad she caught this live. Actually thought she'd missed it. And so she's come on at exactly the right timing. So it's all divine timing, isn't it?
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. And Kelly is saying she's learned so much from you and will always be grateful.
Kelly's in New Zealand.
Oh, beautiful. Our Kiwi cousins over there.
Yes.
Terry, good friend of mine. Hello, Terry, to you. She would love to have a reading, struggling to find her way forward. I feel like you're stagnating, and enjoying the life. So thank you so much. You're in the draw as well. And Sandra's here. So a couple of buddies here. So Sandra's here as well. And she'll be honoured to have a reading from Matthew. His knowledge and learnings are something that I've always resonated with and intrigued. So I hope you're doing well, Sandra. And,
thanks, Sandra.
Yes, and Jen has entered as well. Dana O'Sullivan, another Kiwi. So.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. So
Dana.
Thank you for joining us. Please do remember to make sure that your family and friends see this broadcast because Matthew has important messages. As he said before, we are largely uneducated and we're using this medium to try and touch as many people as possible so that we can get rid of our baggage and we can live lives that are, limitless and to our full potential. And if you'd like to win a spirit guide reading with Matthew, just do what the others are doing. Simply pop down here that you'd like to win a reading with Matthew and why you'd like to read it. So that story about the wolf was pretty amazing.
It was. Yeah, it was quite incredible.
Yeah.
I call that the magic of life. It's helping you to see that there is a plan, or there can be a plan. But sometimes we don't see those plans because we miss I call them the breadcrumbs. And if we don't follow the breadcrumbs, it was like actually New Zealand's a classic case. Of all places, I was in Western Australia because I used to go over there quite a bit. And in one trip, because I'm normally only there for a couple of weeks, and in one trip I had two ladies, one from New Zealand, but another lady said, they would just love you over in Palmerston North.
Yes.
I didn't even know where that was. And then I tracked it down. But when two women that don't even know each other say that same thing, hit me over the head with a brick. you've got to, it's a sign. So I followed it up fairly quickly. And I connected with Michelle at Inspire Me in Palmerston North, and it's like it all fell together so easily. There was very little effort, and you know that synchronicity is there when things are that easy to pull together.
And you're in the flow. Just mention Roz. Welcome, Roz, another one of my buddies here. He was on the My Time TV live page. Like I said, we are live in several other places on Facebook, and we're also through the My Time TV. We are broadcast out to 50 channels, over 50 channels of TV on demand. So if you are on your smart TV and you are on Roku, you can find us on there through the Binge Network syndication program. However, tonight we are originating from Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys page, and Roz was putting in the comments over there. So come over to Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys. If you're in the Women in Business Adelaide community, I'm holding a watch party over there. Please click on the link and come over here, join us live. We would love, love, love to see you live. And we've got another Western Australian,
Erica,
moved over there. And welcome, Erica. It must be around about dinner time now, around 5 o'clock, I think.
Yeah, it would be. No, I know Erica really well too. So she's done a lot of the courses and with.
That's all. And yes, so she says she's also burning some of your sage.
Yes.
And Pauline says, and you're coming back, yay. So when you come back to New Zealand?
I'm back in New Zealand. I'll be doing a free talk at Inspire Me on the 1st of May. And last trip, I was there last year, and I mainly work from Palmerston, or I used to mainly work from Palmerston North in the North Island. But I ventured out to another town, and but this time I'm actually going to be working from 4 towns over there now, which really looking forward to. So I'm going to be over there for 6 weeks. So having a lot of fun. I love New Zealand. I think it's great.
Yeah, I've been over many, many times. So my son is half Kiwi, so
cool.
Have family over there as well. So that is wonderful. So Roz has entered. She'd like to win a reading with Matthew as well to gain some guidance.
Beautiful.
Direction of focus needs to be. And then she's also saying she didn't hear the instructions initially, but that's okay, Roz. So Roz is also a long-time friend and live streamer on My Time TV. So she knows the drill about sort of encouraging as many people as possible to watch the broadcast, and obviously to get the message out as far and wide as possible. So thank you all for doing that. Very much appreciated. So Michelle is saying, glad to see some of your Perth practitioners on the live. Way to support, guys.
Yeah. Yes, thanks. Beautiful.
And Sarah says she's following Matthew's spiritual journeys now. So thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Sarah.
That is awesome. And Roz says she actually met you in 2005 at Hahndorf.
Oh, okay. 2005.
Right. So you never know, do you?
No.
So you've got, did you tell us when it was? I think it's May, isn't it, that you're going over to New Zealand?
Yep, 1st of May will be the free talk. That's what I normally start a trip off with, so people can get to know me before they start committing to anything. And I generally give 2.5 hours of my time telling probably things like this and the sort of work I do, and just really about my journey, how it's impacted me and the changes it's made in my life. And generally you see aha moments going off in the audience, which is really cool. So and it's a funny thing, because what I've found is because of my journey, one of the things I had to learn to get over was this being sensitive. It's not that I had to learn to get over it, because it can actually be a blessing to be sensitive. But the biggest problem is there's not too many people teaching out there how to actually manage your energy so that sensitivity doesn't get out of hand. And because I was very sensitive, I had to learn that if I was going to work in this field. And because I could have just chosen to stick with furniture making, but something kept drawing me into this. And I remember actually making a statement to my guides or to spirit that if this is going to work for me, and if I can help myself and help other people, then I'll commit 100%. Yeah. And I tell you what, it hasn't let me down. And I just keep following the breadcrumbs all the time.
Yeah. Well, the nudges, isn't it?
It
unfolds in front of you. And
most definitely, yeah.
So we've got Shirley here is also wanting to enter the competition. So you would have had thank you for sharing, Kelly. So you would have, she wants to reconnect with her guide.
I know Shirley.
And Jen is saying the best sage. Actually, the very first lot, I think we had this conversation, the very first lot of sage I got from you was at a talk that you were doing.
Was that the one at Harndorf?
No, this was probably, that was at Marion and Danny's.
Yes, I know.
And that was, I bought some of your sage, and that was sort of that was the first time I was sort of introduced with you, maybe 5 years ago. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? It is the best sage, absolutely. And I've had several lots from various, sorts, but I think it all comes back to your white sage, and I must get some more to take back to Queensland. So
could I say a couple of minutes just on the prairie sage?
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, look, I discovered, everyone knows white sage or grandfather sage. It's actually classified as a desert sage. That's why the leaves are so brittle and they dry the way they dry. So anyone trying to grow that over here, don't overwater it because you'll kill the plant very quickly. The prairie sage I was introduced to on Rosebud, and it's the sage that grows wild throughout that mid-north of the States, in the prairie regions, the plains regions. And it does grow up into the lower mountains of, through Nebraska or through Montana and Wyoming. But the prairie sage is a different sage. The leaf is a soft leaf when it dries out, but it has a resin in it. And one of the funny things is it gets commonly, the comments made when people smell it burning is it smells like marijuana.
It does.
It's definitely not marijuana, but it's the resin that you're smelling burning. And this particular sage is much stronger in its effect on calming people down and relaxing people. And this sage is the sage that they use in all of the ceremonies throughout the First Nation regions through the mid-north. And it just has something really special about it. And I've used it in meditation groups where people say they've gone along to meditations before and they've never got anything, and they come out of one of the meditations while I'm burning sage and they have these wild experiences, and it's their jaws down on the ground. I can't promise that's going to happen to everyone, but it does seem to really help a person to chill out. And the ancestors are there when I burn it. I know because I see them at times, and also it's wonderful at clearing a space of anything negative. So
well, I've say for clearing negative energy as well. So where can we get this sage?
Dun, 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 dun. Hey.
Yes. So we're going up to Birdwood for
I am very low on sage at the moment because it does grow through the summer months over there. But I'm about to get a little bit more. They're rationing it out over there at the moment. So
are they? So we need to probably, I guess, the best way to connect with you, because there was a couple of things. I just wanted to make mention that Asara said she'd love to reconnect with her guides. She didn't know she had them until she went into a live stream one day and was told by one spiritual person she had 4. And Kelly only uses sage from you because it's what you call the good shit. Hi, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
It's shut. Yeah. If you're in New Zealand, if you're a Kiwi, it's shut.
Yep.
And Paula loves your prairie sage.
Yes.
Prairie. How do you prairie?
Prairie, yeah.
Prairie sage.
Prairie, yeah.
So yes. So yes, go on.
I was just going to say that's a hint from Kelly. I need to bring more sage over with me when I go to New Zealand. So she's got the. I need some more, please.
Yes. So, but I'm a bit closer, so I was thinking this as you were talking about it. The last lot I had, was given to me by a girlfriend who got it from you, and I actually passed that on to my daughter, who is combining it with lavender and other herbs that she's got in her garden, and she's making her own smudge sticks. So,
yes, wonderful. And look, lavender, actually, before I got onto the prairie sage, I was actually making my own smudge sticks, and lavender is actually fantastic. It has a beautiful quality to it, but mixing it in with the prairie sage would be great.
Yes, well, that's exactly what she's doing, but I don't have them now. So, I should have thought about that when I popped up to see you the other day. But anyway, I know where you live now. Oh dear. So with as we're sort of coming down to the end of the hour, where can people, if you wanted to make any comments about anyone who's made mention about anything in the conversations, or if you wanted to just let us know where you'll be, when you'll be, how people can connect with you. I can do a spruik if you like.
Yeah, so look, what I've got coming up, workshops are filling up nice and fast. I've got 3 teepee meditations coming up at Riverdale Spiritual Centre. The dates for that is the Tuesday the 30, Wednesday the 1st of April. And
let me just...
Wednesday the 8th of April. And Wednesday the 15th of April.
Okay, so that's in South Australia. I'm just going to share the screen here. And whoops, hang on, sharing the wrong screen. I'll just take that off because that's like too meta. There's too many of us. So just explain what the teepee meditation is. I think I've always been fascinated by that. When you say that, I go, oh, I feel like a little kid. I want to go meditate the teepee.
Look, when you come into a teepee, it's an amazing feeling. It has an energy all of its own, because when you think about the whole concept of the teepee, it's come from the First Nation people of North America, and the dynamics of a teepee is absolutely amazing. Just the way it works, the way it functions, but also because of the work I've done in the teepee, it has an energy of its own as well. And when people come into that space, I always make sure that the energy in the teepee is clean. So I'll do ceremony, my rituals before I do anything in the teepee. And so we have a group of no more than about 14 come in, and I'll take you on a journey, basically. And that journey can be quite extensive, going into a forest, and that can go all kinds of directions, because I don't have a set thing that I do. It is similar, the ones I do, but quite often it goes off into a different tangent. And there's a bit of drumming and chanting I do in there, and I give a bit of feedback at the end of the meditation when people share what they've got in their meditation. I give a little bit of feedback from their guides that are around them as well, and it really ends up being a personal development and meditation evening. So and the best time to be in the teepee is when it's cold, when we've got a raging fire going. And I've been in there when there's a raging fire, because it's absolutely freezing outside. It's certainly not freezing inside. Thunderstorm, hail hitting against the
Wow.
It's absolutely amazing because the teepee lights up when the lightning comes fairly close.
It sounds magical. And I think you've got an absolute fan here. Daniel loves his teepee sessions.
Bring it on.
Bring it on, yes. And that's definitely something that that I've been I'd love to do. I would love to do. So that's it for people who are here from. So I think we have people from right across Australia and potentially across the across the world. We're international. We've got Kiwis here as well. So so that's Riverdale is in. It's just out of Gawler, north of Adelaide.
Yep.
So and so there are some local sessions to South Australia and some in New Zealand.
Yes.
And
so also at Riverdale, I'll be doing a 2.5-hour evening, which is all about spirit guides. So I talk a bit about my experiences on how I connected with guides in the beginning and some of the quite funny experiences I've had where they've had to pull me into line to know the best way to work with them. And also at the end of the evening, for about the last half hour, I do a bit of a demo where I just, or I get directed to go to certain people to pass on messages from their guides. So,
okay. Wow.
And I should say just really quickly, because I know time's just about up, but a lot of people don't really know what guides are. Guides, they are spiritual beings, but what they are is actually aspects of our soul. So you could say that they're past life experiences, but it's the way I look at things. Instead of looking at yourself as the reference point, I've had a past life, which is now a guide. Our soul has had many life experiences. I'm one of my soul's life experiences, but what I've done in bringing in my purpose and acting out my purpose in this life, I'm attracting guides to me who can teach me to be the best possible person I can be.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I discovered many years ago was that when a guide has taught you everything that they can teach you, they actually move on, I thought. But what actually happens is when they have got to that point, and sometimes a new guide will come in, you actually embody that guide. So the energy of that guide, the separation that was there, then there's actually a cohesion of energy between you and your guide. And so your knowledge and your library of information suddenly becomes much bigger.
Wow.
And it's quite powerful. So the more you're self-driven to be everything you can be, that continues to occur, where you literally embody these other aspects of your soul. So to me, that actually helps us to get closer to source, because as we embody these separated parts of us, including inner children and past life experiences where there's been disconnection, we actually become stronger. Our spiritual energy becomes more expansive, and yeah, it's just pretty cool.
Wow. It sounds really amazing, and I think there's so many more conversations to be had about this.
Oh, we could talk about ETs too. That'll blow the lid off everyone. So
many.
That's another conversation.
But what I'm going to do, because I actually do have I've got another appointment in half an hour for another live, so we're sort of back to back tonight. I'm glad I left half an hour between it. But Matthew, I think we should organise to have another one like this. And if you're watching and you think it's a good idea for Matthew to keep coming back, just give us a little demonstration of affection. You can grab your phone if you're on your phone and just find the heart button or the like button and just tap that, because that gives us a bit of a fireworks display, and it also tells Facebook that that we're doing stuff here that people love to see. So and then we can get the word out further. Roz has just omitted an error. She spelt TP wrong, and it was funny because I always spelt TP, TEE, until I looked at Matthew's page.
a lot of people do. Yeah.
Is it because that was how we were taught to?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like people call a ceremonial pipe a peace pipe.
Yeah.
The only reason it's called a peace pipe because white people realized that when the pipe was brought out, there was no fighting. It was always seen as a sacred thing, and there would be no fighting when the pipe's brought out. So, jump off that cliff, Matthew.
Michelle, I love it. I love it. Just like this is your encouragement all the way from Western Australia.
Oh, look, I've pushed Michelle often enough to jump off cliffs, so she's getting her own back. Yeah.
I like it. Well, we'll have to have Michelle as well. I'm just gate crashing your show because I'm hosting it. I'm just like, oh, Michelle coming in as well. So, and Erica say would love to see live meditations. So, Erica,
okay.
Whereabouts you are, but
that wasn't even in my thoughts of something to do. But yeah, I could definitely run a live meditation. Yeah.
Do that here as well. So folks, if you want to connect with Matthew, just the last call, if you do want to, if you're here for the replay, because we're going to wind it up in a moment, you are still eligible to win a spirit guide reading with Matthew. Just you could put hashtag replay as well if you want to, and just put you'd like to win a reading and with Matthew and why you'd like to win the reading. You'll be notified by messenger that you're registered, and we'll also let you know by messenger. It will come from Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys page, his inbox page, and we'll let you know if you have won. And good luck to everybody. And Jen is saying yes, live meditation too. Yes.
There's Erica
and Petra as well.
Looks like that's a goer.
Michelle is saying, come back to Perth. I'm going to be, I know you're asking Matthew back, but I'm going to be in Perth in June. My daughter's just moved over there, and I'd love to meet you, Michelle. So who knows? We can make this happen. So
sounds good.
Awesome. So if you want to connect with Matthew, all the events are listed on his page, right here on his page where you're watching this. If you are watching this broadcast anywhere else but on Matthew Greenwood's Spiritual Journeys page, please come over and catch it here. Look at the events and book in, send Matthew a message to book in one-on-ones. You do it online there?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yep, readings online as well. So, yes.
And emotional energy clearings too. So.
Yes. So there we go. Kelly's going, my meditation. Yeah, there you go. So energy clearings and readings online, so you can book in online for a one-on-one session with Matthew as well. Whoa.
That was fun.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
So any last words to wind her up before I hit stop?
Be everything you can be. And if something's getting in the way, then do whatever it takes to find out what it is and reach your potential. And if I can help, I'm here.
Well, thank you. That was awesome. Really enjoyed it. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. And
yeah, thank you.
To those people who entered the competition, I wish you every success in winning, and please reach out, go to Matthew's events, or jump in and say in Messenger that you'd like to catch up for a one-on-one reading, whether it's in person or online, and we'll be back, I'm sure.
See you soon.
With or without me, I'm not sure we're going to work that one out. So. All right, bye everybody.
Thanks, Adaire.
Bye.